Yesterday, we woke up early. Well, it wasn't that early, but we got up intentionally yesterday morning to make sure that we watched the Blue Origins launch with the all women like crew.
Hmm.
And I mean, I know what our response was in the moment, but I've been surprised is too strong. I've just heard that there
I think
are,
it's like shocking, weird. I didn't expect that. I thought it was
yeah,
like like a unison kind of thing that we were all super. This was like positive thing, but it's not.
yeah. So what's funny is I think that's the one thing that we said, like out of everything that's been happening this year, it was the one kind of positive thing, the one thing that was felt kind of hopeful. Um, yeah, because we just haven't had that in so long. Everything is despair. Everything is how awful it is. Everything is how our future is going to be ruined. Um, but then we had this yesterday. So I know that was how we responded. So the
Hmm.
fact that there are people who are like, oh, this is bad, or like, I guess being a celebrity gets you a free ride to what, or I don't know, or like you were only up there for 11 minutes, you didn't do anything.
Hmm.
And then I heard somebody saying like, oh, it wasn't even for science. And, well, so I think that's inherently untrue. I think whenever they do the launches, there's some scientific piece to it, right? The ability to replicate it,
Right,
all that stuff.
right,
But also, one of the ladies on there did conduct some science while like, that was one of the things that she wanted to do.
right.
Um, I'm also not sure that was necessarily the point. It wasn't, uh, it wasn't billed as like, oh, this is some scientific expedition. So I don't even know who decided that was the standard.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I just know that it was good, and they're not all celebrities. I think that's the point. There's like a diverse group of women who, by themselves, went up into space.
Hmm.
So I don't think there was. I think the point it wasn't very cookie cutter. It was very, yeah, diverse
Hmm.
and rich, and so I don't think there's anything you could say that's like, oh, it was to this, it was to that. It was very much some of everything.
Hmm.
So I don't think people are just looking for something to tear down about it when there isn't anything.
I mean, can't we have a moment? Because there's so much that like I fundamentally disagree with, right? Like, and I'm not one
Hmm.
of those people. I really actually don't like when people, oh, we need to come together and blah 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 blah. No, I'm not. If you know what I mean, if you are actually in favor of separating children from their families and murder and rape and all these things, like I don't really need to come together on that. But it felt like this was something that just about everybody, like you would think it's something that we could just have that a single moment of like, okay, the world isn't all bad and we're not, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because it was what Dr. Jemison said about like, it turns out we're all earthlings. Like when you look
right.
at it from that angle, we're all earthlings. But somehow people found a way to tear this down.
Hmm.
I mean, I thought it was, look, I kind of thought it was wild at first. And then I think I told you, like, oh, today I heard Gail say that she was scared. I feel so much better about this
Yeah,
because I would be frightened.
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. It's very scary. I don't know that I would. I mean, actually, before yesterday, I didn't know if I would do it. I mean, I think it really opened my eyes. Like it just seemed so possible. But yeah, no, the concept of going into space on its own is very scary. It's been very dangerous. It just seems like totally out there. So I think, yeah, a bunch of like, kind of like untrained people going out into space, recreationally, whatever. It does seem kind of like kind of bizarre. But I think the more it was spoken about and the closer it got, it really ended up being an extremely powerful thing.
And exciting.
Yes. I think it was very transformative. I think, Gail King and the other women really, truly, genuinely like changed lives yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. I thought like some of the interesting things was, like one, when they talk about the science, and the one lady whose name I'm forgetting, but we can look it up real quick, I guess. She was saying that one of the reasons that it was always said that women could not go to become astronauts, even though I guess early on psychologically, like psychological tests showed that women would fare better.
Mm-hmm.
But there was this claim that because we have menstrual cycles, that like having your period in space would be this huge problem. So you just could never have a woman astronaut. So she was actually going up there with different types of wound dressings and things and mimicking I think the consistency of that fluid and all of those things. So there actually was a scientific component, but think about how like absurd that is.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing that I thought was kind of interesting was, it's definitely always cool to see an all woman group doing something.
Yeah.
But I guess I just never thought about why it's so cool
Mm-hmm.
outside of like representation, because one of the things that was said is it was important because you didn't have to have a man with you just
Right.
in case or to manage things. No,
Right.
there didn't have to be. We don't need a man to be able to do things. We could just do them.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know. How do you feel now? Are we going to go to space?
Um, I mean, if given the opportunity, like, Gail said that the training was very good and thorough. So, I think with proper precautions and stuff with the training and if I feel really safe and secure after like I do feel like I feel like I'm more likely to say yes now that Gail has done it.
Right. And that was the other thing is that Gail is like 70 years old.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
And it's like I was telling you yesterday, it's like that whole thing when people say that like God, has a bigger dream for you than you have for yourself, or that your best years are still ahead of you. Like someone who's that accomplished, and then at this stage of life being able to go like,
An
yeah,
astronaut.
to the moon,
Yeah,
right?
as an
Like,
astronaut. Yeah.
yeah, it was just like a living embodiment.
Yeah.
And then like watching Oprah down there, and people have whatever opinions they want to, but these are two Black women who were like young journalists trying to make
Hmm.
it in this white world and being told, how I think Oprah was told to like change her name, go by like Susie or something, and
Hmm.
being told to straighten their hair, right? Two young journalists. And then over the years, all the things that they've accomplished to like literally looking down, and your best friend, the billionaire, is looking up at you
Space.
in space. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it.
And I do feel like, with the whole scientific aspect, I do feel like it could also be debated that it was a social experiment
Mhm.
that I thought we did well with, but apparently we failed the experiment because people are unhappy.
They're making us fail.
There's nothing to be unhappy with. I thought, and these women come from different backgrounds. They all have different professions. They're all different ages and sizes. And they came together to do this big thing, as women by themselves, go up into outer space, which has never once in the entire planet been done before. It is internationally, globally, a huge deal.
And they looked great. That was the other thing. They
That's true. Their
looked
outfits
good.
are really pretty. I liked them. They're
Yeah,
very
and they were
flattering.
flattering to any
Yeah.
figure, but they were all like had their hair done
Glam.
and
Yeah.
just like looking and doing it the way
Yeah, and
that
then,
women
we
would,
we also saw Chloe and Kris
which was
Kardashian were
great.
there to support. Yeah, I thought that was very good too. Like women supporting women. I thought it was a very monumental moment. And I think that I do think it's so important for women to stick together. As telling you yesterday, I think it's like, before any other, you know, um, sort of like bias or whatever, women have always been put down in
Mm-hmm.
history.
Mm-hmm.
And so to see that even still now with everything going on, we can still come together to support one another. when we've always had to like struggle and put more effort into things that we can still do things and do it well and do it well together and look hot doing it.
Right. And how about Katy Perry singing What a Wonderful World?
Yeah. I mean, perfect song choice, very emotional.
Yeah, and Gail like, look at the moon, guys. And then she literally said, I know I don't have to tell you because, the
Yeah.
moon, but like, look at the moon. How do you, I don't know if it's just one of those things where people can't stand for someone else to have joy.
I
It,
think people can't stand specifically, sorry, for women to be successful no
hmm
matter what. Women
hmm
cannot be happy, we cannot win. Even when it comes to other women, even when it comes to whomever, it's women are at fault.
hmm
Oh, they went up there this, it's like there was no, I guess, no realm in which they would have gone up there, come down, and it would have just been like a kumbaya kind of thing, apparently. I felt good about it, but I guess, realistically speaking, this backlash, I guess, shouldn't be surprising because people don't like for
Fair.
women to be successful or happy or anything or to do better than you,
Right.
you know?
And to be able to do it without a man. Because I think it's one thing,
Right,
like she was saying, it's one
right,
thing to be able to say, oh, we had a woman, but no, we didn't, they did not need a man in that space
right.
to be able to make it happen or to protect them or to do whatever. And
Right, they were fine. They
they
went
were
up,
fine.
they went up into space by themselves. They did a great job. And I do want to say the whole Katy Perry bringing a Daisy was very
Oh,
sweet
that was
because
so
her
sweet.
daughter's name is Daisy. And, she said that daisies are very like resilient and they can grow and very, adverse conditions and stuff. So I thought that that was very sweet for her to take up into space with her.
And it was a piece of Earth going to space.
Right.
That's,
It was very special.
yeah,
And her daughter was like looking up, and I think that's awesome too. Like seeing your mom go into space, it's so inspiring, genuinely, not cliche, not
right.
whatever. It is like, seeing your mom, pop star, go up into space. It's like, no, I mean, when you say anything's possible, it's like anything
Anything
is
is
possible,
possible. Yeah.
and I think it's awesome. There's no reason for anyone to say otherwise.
Well, I think the weird thing is, even just as like a year ago, this just seemed so crazy. Like people are just paying how much and they just pop up into space.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, as of yesterday, it just seemed like, of
We're
course,
gonna pop
people
up into
go pop
space,
up into
right?
space. Um, but I do think that part of the backlash is that whole thing because like at first it was like these, billionaires or just whatever, and you could be feeding people. Well, I will say this. I really do I obviously believe that we need to be charitable towards others. I also think that we're in a time where people are literally saying America first and even within America taking healthcare and food and education away from people. So it's so hypocritical to even like go down that path to try to criticize a billionaire for spending their money.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said it earlier, like don't hate the player, hate the game.
Right. I don't know why it's so like
It's not controversial. It's not really the billionaire's fault that they become a billionaire. They didn't choose that. It really is luck of the draw. Like it's not like, oh, I'm gonna be a billionaire and you're gonna go out and grasp all that money. It really is just
right, you learn the rules.
things kind of happen.
And that's a thing. And I also saw sort of a different topic, a criticism of the Democrats saying like our
Hmm.
only argument against deportation is that they're taking our low wage workers and not like basically more humanitarian.
Hmm.
And I just wanted to say, newsflash, we have a capitalist country. We've chosen, and a lot of people have said that they love capitalism. We
Hmm.
hear it all the time, like, oh, so don't be a
Right.
socialist. So inherently in a capitalist system, you have rungs. There are going to be people who are at the highest rung, and there are going to be people at the lowest rung. And historically, good, bad, whatever, the truth is that when people immigrate to a new country, they usually are starting at that
Right.
bottom rung
And I
and
think
feeling that.
I think there is just so much ignorance with that. People don't really know what capitalism is. They don't know what a tariff is. They don't know, people don't seem to know these terms and phrases. They're like the economy.
Say
They're
it.
kind of just these ambiguous kinds of phrase words and phrases that, and they're
I
like,
know
so
you
it's
hate
like,
that.
oh, we're supposed to be against this. But why? You don't know what it is. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I mean, I am against it. I think people like talking about the economy is like saying something about rocket science. Like you don't know what you're talking about, which is fine. But you
What
don't know what
that
you're talking
commercial?
about.
What isn't the economy?
Right. It's like, oh, the economy, this, that, and the other. You're not an economist.
Yeah,
You
no.
wouldn't pass an economy class. You
Right.
don't know what it is. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know how it affects you. The things that you're referring to are like, corporate greed kind of things.
And
And
cost of living.
right. And like the price of eggs kinds of things, and which aren't the economy.
The price of eggs are not the fact, like the metric by which you like measure your entire economy. And I really feel like the egg thing, like we gotta do. Well, yeah, we have to talk about eggs at some point because that's so, I don't know when eggs became so important. But that said, I think people are like anti-billionaire.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the oligarchs and the whatever. I'm just saying, I think if you are, people are anti-millionaire, it's almost like it's okay for you to be just as successful as I want you to be. And so a year ago, it was, oh, these billionaires are just going up. Then I heard like, oh, they just got a free ride. These people who are known on, celebrities get a free ride. So is it, you don't like the free ride that it was democratized
Hmm.
and open up to women who are accomplished and are able to go up? Or are you upset because billionaires can just pay to do it? Like,
Right.
you can't win. Women can't win.
Right. Right. I don't really understand it. And it's like I don't think for one you shouldn't, my wallet, my money, my bank account is none of your business.
True.
But then you can't dictate what I do with my money. It's not if I want to buy a bunch of bags or whatever it is, like it's like, oh, you should be saving that or you should be, why
Right.
would that's irresponsible or whatever. Well, it's my money to be irresponsible with. Like it's very bizarre, and I'm not talking about like the climate change and the animal cruelty stuff. I just mean specifically when it comes to like spending money.
Right. Yeah, people do that all the time. Like, oh, well, I saw you eating out,
Right.
but now you're asking for whatever.
Right. Don't count my money for me.
You can't count somebody. Right. They had a coupon and they got the 99 cent
Right. Like
whatever. Like you
you
don't
don't,
know.
right, you
Yeah.
don't know. People always want to like place judgment and stuff as Christians. So it's very bizarre.
And then you're upset because people choose to do something extraordinary.
Right. Or like Kim Kardashian. Oh, she's so pretty. And then she's like just a socialite. And then like boom, billionaire.
Billionaire.
Bill's businesswoman, like very smart. And she's very successful. She's got like, this a nice family, friends, very like wholesome, but then also still like sexy and also, like still going out and able to like, you know, continue to build. I'm gonna be a lawyer now. And it's like, her like taking advantage of the opportunities that she has should not be a bad thing.
Oh, look, we could do a whole thing on the Kardashians because I am so tired. It's the whole thing with women can't win. I mean, the idea that first off, that she can have it all. Like she just actually literally demonstrated. And you have people like literally on social media dogging these women out when they created this whole like industry basically. They were going
Right.
online, they were doing whatever. Like Kylie was doing her launch, she didn't
Yeah.
do any marketing or whatever. Like some of that stuff had never been done before.
Right.
They were able to take this and like transform it. People are making money off of this, like utilizing or following their path. I think probably too ignorant to know it
Right.
and using the path to criticize it. I don't know, but I was so thrilled when I saw Chris and
Yeah, I think that was
Chloe
really
other. It
good.
was
I
I was
think it
just
was
like,
really nice. Yeah.
yeah, and I told you like the next thing we should see is like a Kardashian trip
Yeah,
to
because they
space.
did. They just had their Crumble launch, and so I think
Oh, it
that
was
like
good.
they always they're hard workers and they look well doing it. They're, but also family oriented. I think that people just don't like that. I don't like women in general, but it's
How
like
dare you?
right, do anything.
How dare you do? It's that whole thing of like if you're the working mom, then you're bad for ignoring your children. If you choose to be a stay-at-home mom, then you don't have a career and you're an idiot and you're not a modern woman.
Right,
And so it's like no matter what you do, you can't win. But those ladies in particular, um, I mean, Kim Kardashian has to be one of the just most brilliant business minds of our time,
for sure.
to be able to take things and see, and her mother, obviously, right, and navigate.
Right.
And it's like that point where she said, where she told Courtney, I'm not buying you a pair of shoes.
Oh,
I
yeah.
bought you the bleeping career. She had enough savvy to be able to do it. I mean, you can
Yeah.
obviously people grow, people change,
I
they're
mean,
human,
yeah, I mean,
but
I say all the time, I feel like Kylie like was a trailblazer when it comes to the cosmetics. Like everyone has a cosmetics line now, but back in 2015 when she like did hers, it was, I think that she kind of paved the way for that. And then, she had the lip kits and then boom, Kylie Cosmetics, boom, she's a billionaire. Like things are just like I think it exploded. And from there, I think other celebrities have kind of like followed in that path because it is lucrative and stuff. I think that she's a real passion for it. But I mean, I feel like she kind of opened the door in that way. And I think people have like followed her lead. I don't think it was as popular before her.
yeah, I mean Hailey Bieber.
Well,
Because it's
hers
specifically
is,
the lip kit. You know what I mean? Like the way that
yeah.
Kylie was like, no, I'm just going to focus. Like this is the asset. People had so much to say
Mm-hmm.
about her appearance as a young
Well,
woman
I
and
feel like
her
Haley's is
looks.
more skincare.
Yeah, but she started out with that lip butter thing.
It's the peptide lip tint.
Lip to tint.
Yeah, but I meant like Ariana Grande has cosmetics
Right.
now. Selena Gomez, Lady Gaga. Like it's very popular now, and I don't. I think that Kylie kind of created before it was like just like Charlotte Tilbury and like Bobbi Brown and
Mm-hmm.
like the
Mm-hmm.
staples, and now it's kind of I think kind of exploded and been booming, and I think that she had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, and like I said, I think the way that she approached the business with the utilizing her following on social media and just,
Hmm.
there was a distinct and clear strategy. There was an investment done in the quality of the product. She took her own money
Right.
and, was going to labs
Right.
and,
And the thing too is I don't think it's like a bad thing. It's like I think people like, oh, like I'm not following her lead. I don't follow the women. It's not a bad thing to like follow on your trail. It's not a bad thing to like say, like,
oh,
I've learned from them. I've learned from this. She is a yeah, like I think, it's like didn't you like date a guy once who was like, oh, I don't
oh, I
follow
thought about
Siri,
that.
I don't follow Siri because she's a woman.
About that like yesterday. I don't know what I was doing, but I was like, that fool told me that he refuses to use GPS because women can't give you direction. I would never take directions from a
Right.
woman.
And like news flash, couple news flashes. Number one, Siri's not a woman, she's a robot. Number two, like women are actually like better with navigation than men are.
You don't say.
Right. Like we're great leaders and stuff. But it's like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's like you just hate to say it. Like, oh, I'm not using, I didn't, whatever. It's like, no, it's okay. You got the idea from a woman, and that's okay.
Right. Just like you got your life from a woman. But that to say, I mean, I think it's all interconnected. Like the treatment of six women going to outer space. First off, like I said, I never thought about it. It's always sounded like that's crazy. Why would you do that? I also have questioned why we're in space. But again, GPS, like we were just talking about, that comes from space.
Yeah.
Like there's so many things that we use
Yeah.
that are based on,
Hmm.
you know, space
Right.
and the science that we've been able to create. So I think it's almost like hypocritical at this point to be like, oh, that we shouldn't be doing that. We should be focused on this, that, or the other. There are so many, think about all the humanitarian things that we do
Hmm.
with that one technology,
Yeah.
GPS.
Yeah. But I also just, I feel like this isn't just I want like it's not just for Americans.
Right,
This
right.
is like the first in history. All like this is a global thing. Boys and girls around the world now know like how powerful it truly is to be a woman. You don't need a man. You
R-
can do it.
Right.
Like and like the boys like, "Oh, I didn't know like women can go up there and do it on their own." Yes, they can and they did and they will.
Right. And I thought that was a really good point that Gail King brought up was that not only is it important for girls to see this, but it's important for boys to be able to
Hmm.
see women doing things. And just to be, fair, that's not to say that men are not needed in the world. Like that's a whole different topic.
Hmm.
And we definitely see eye to eye that there is some value.
Jar opening and such.
So yeah, that's a different conversation, but that's not what we're saying. It's just
Right.
that to know that women are capable beings is
Right,
important.
because
And
there is this weird, bizarre theory that people, I think, subconsciously even buy into that women cannot function. Like, oh, like the household needs to be run by like the man of the house, and like men, there are so many men CEOs. It's just this concept that women need to be led by a man.
so it's funny you say that because when you said that about like man of the house, it reminded me of when, I was separated from your dad, my husband, by like when I was pregnant with you. And then of course the divorce went through. And there were so many people who would be like, oh, well, TJ's the man of the house. TJ is 2 years old.
Right,
He's a child in the house. No, he is
right.
not the man of the house. He is a child, and he deserves the opportunity to be a child, to learn and grow. And yes, I do my best to tell him and teach him and show him things. And, there's a lot of socialization and things that need to happen as far
Right.
as, being a
Right, but
man.
it's like in their minds, it's like automatically, oh, we need a man there. It's like, no, you're a grown woman, you can handle a
Right.
household.
Right. And I used to say, I used to tell you, well, I am the king and the queen of this castle. Because I am, and what I told you, I was like, I'm fulfilling both of those roles. If I'm doing all the dad stuff
Yeah.
and I'm doing the mom stuff, traditionally,
Hmm.
not that I wanted it to be that way or whatever, but the idea that someone would think, oh,
Like that it's like
clearly
an
an
imp
eight
like
year
it's like
old,
a that it's like a can't,
yeah,
or like, an impossible.
yeah, it's like, oh, well, he's the man of the house. Or they say crazy stuff, like, take care of your mom and your sister. And he's like, okay. And TJ, he's so serious about everything. He's so sweet. But it's like
That's not his role
he's
as
10
seven, right?
or 2 or 8 or whatever.
Right, he's
Or right now he's
right.
20. He's
Yeah.
still developing and growing into becoming the man that he's going to be. He's in
Right. And
college.
at
He's
that point he's gonna take care of his own family.
exactly, he's the man of that house.
Right.
Um, which is not to say I don't have expectations or he doesn't take out
Sure. And
the
then his
stuff.
wife is an equal partner,
Right.
you know.
Um, but yeah, it's just so funny. There is this inherent kind of backlash that people are probably just not even conscious of, where it's like, how dare they go into space? So before it was, oh, people are wasting money.
Right.
Now, how dare you go without spending money? And
Right.
what? I mean, it was just so great. It was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Yeah. And Oprah's crying, and it- I think the reporter asked good questions. I think it was just a really good experience. And I think just, there was so cool that they were traveling three times the speed of
Oh, the sound.
sound.
That was cool.
I think there were so many scientific elements involved with everything in life, but with this, I don't think you could like. There's no way it could be, what is it, non-scientific? What were they saying?
Yeah, but it wasn't even scientific. There
Yeah,
was
everything.
no
If you watch TV, it's scientific. I mean, please.
right, but that's a good point that the amount of science that was covered in a really accessible way yesterday and people being able to see how it works and what it was. I mean, it reminds me, when I was a child, when they would do these big rocket launches. I
Mhm.
mean, at school,
Right.
you'd stop, right? And everybody's gathered around the TV and you watch the astronauts take off.
Right, like I remember watching the Tesla go into space in like 2017 or 2018. Like it was like we put it on in school, like on the
Hmm.
TV we had in there, and we all watched it.
Yeah, and I mean, that was a moment though, but I thought it was cool because they're like, okay, they just broke the sound barrier and we're gonna hear it
Yeah.
soon. And so like they broke it and then like a few minutes
Right, because
or
it had to travel
seconds.
to us. Yeah,
Yeah.
then you hear like a big boom after the fact is very cool.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. But the
Yeah, and then even just looking up and like you kind of just like see them all of a sudden there's a big like poof and then something's
yeah,
dropping but they're gone.
yeah.
And it's like they're up.
Like when Marty McFly disappeared and then
Yeah,
the
yeah,
little thing
yeah.
just fell.
Right, and then like to hear them like screaming they're coming back down the parachute
Yeah,
thing.
they were
It's like
excited.
fun. It was
Yeah.
good. And I think it's good for science to be fun. It's not supposed to be so serious all the time.
Right. Exploration is a good
Right.
thing. It's a positive thing. So yeah, that whole argument that it wasn't for science is so
Stupid.
absurd. Um, it's nonsensical. Makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
And then I was telling you, like, you're like, well, who is that lady? I'm like, oh, that's Dr. Macy Jemison. She, in 1994, she was the first Black woman astronaut, and
Hmm.
how great it was. And it was, I mean, she looked good. It was
Yeah.
good to see
Yeah, we were
her.
not taught about her in school, so
Yeah, but like, I immediately knew who that was because it
yeah.
was such an important moment. And then she's like, I can't believe it took so long,
Hmm.
for us to get to this point because she did that in 1994. But hearing her talk about the significance of it and explaining what was happening and just all of the information, and then like even last Friday, they were showing pictures and where is it that you're going to be, what are you going to be seeing, the
Hmm.
conversations and the education. And I mean, that's why you have science in schools, by the way, is so
Yeah.
that you can participate in your community in a
Yeah.
meaningful way. It's not because you're going to go be a scientist. And it drives me crazy when people say, oh, I don't use anything I learned in school.
Yeah.
Why not? This was that moment.
Right.
And then if there are things you forgot or that you are learning new, that's great too. But these are the moments where you should have some basis of scientific knowledge and be enjoying and participating in the world as contributing as a
Right.
human,
And
and,
I
and
yeah, and
taking part in
I
the joy of it.
right, but I also just really want to stress like the diversity. It was so I think like nice and refreshing to see
Hmm.
women of all different backgrounds and ethnicities. Like backgrounds, I mean like sure growing up, but then also just like their career choice, their height, their
Ages,
right,
though,
their
yeah.
weight, their
Hmm.
it was the whole thing. It was like it was like a nice group of women, in that they were all different
Hmm.
and they had that in common and they got this opportunity to kind of do something together and build like
Yeah.
like forever bonded, but then you can forever say like I'm a pop star and I'm also an astronaut. Like it's
Right.
crazy. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think it's so cool and I think it's so sweet. And you can, you can have friends and in different fields and you can,
Yeah, that's
in the
another
whole
thing.
thing. It's
Yeah.
just I think
Yeah.
it's just nice and comforting.
Yeah, I agree.
And there was no drama. There was no issue. It was just like these women coming together to go up into space,
Right.
you know.
And they say it's a really spiritual experience anyway. Now, what I did tell you that like I am a little bit more curious, and we'll have to look it up because I do not understand. Once we saw like, okay, sound barrier broke now, wait however many seconds, and then we hear it, right?
Hmm.
Then I was telling you, like, is that how that whole theory about seeing dinosaurs on the planet works?
Oh, that doesn't make any sense. I think people are, I just can't.
But it's like if you're, so for anyone who doesn't know, so supposedly if you were far enough into space and you looked at Earth, because of the way time and light and whatever travels.
Right, you would be seeing the dinosaurs. Or like something so far, like a long time ago, something like that.
So in my head, and this is like probably before your time, but I think about like there used to be like on Looney Tunes, they're chasing each other, the Wile E. the Coyote and like the
Mhm.
Roadrunner, meep, meep, and then he like falls off a cliff or whatever, right? And as he's falling, it's like a little movie scene of his whole life going, like his life
Oh.
flashes before his eyes. So that's what I think of.
Mhm.
It's like, so if you were coming to Earth, you're seeing the dinosaurs. Oh my gosh, they're going extinct. Oh my gosh, there's
Or like the
and then
closer
today,
you get, and then you get to today. Right.
right, you get here and it's like,
Right. I
oh,
think that we're missing like something about that doesn't make any sense. And supposedly, if we looked in, when I guess because the stars we're seeing, I've already like they're already dead and they've exploded, and we're just kind of like it hasn't hit our vision, it hasn't hit us yet, like the sight or whatever, the light.
yeah.
I don't know that that means I'm seeing history. Like something's like, there doesn't. I don't know. I can't. No. The closer I get to a different planet, there's no way that like I. That doesn't make any sense to
And
me.
right, and so we know climate change is what it is. So in like 2 years, when the whole world does whatever it does, explodes, then some alien, an actual alien, not just referring to people who happen to be from other countries, um, who decides like, oh, that looks like a cool planet. Let me go there. And then they just keep traveling and
Right.
traveling, and it turns out that there's no Earth there, but they can see it.
Right. Are we like not cursing on this podcast?
Huh?
We're not cursing? Because I
Right,
felt fine with it cursing, but you don't like it.
right.
Why?
I think we just have to be careful of what's
Why?
being heard, especially
Oh, okay. So I can't curse.
I'm your mom.
That's not answering the question.
You're not supposed to curse around me anyway, and you don't.
I
So
don't.
what? You would
But
do it specifically for the podcast?
yeah, this mother effer, whatever. I have
No.
no issue. Well, actually, I do feel awkward cursing in front of you. It's uncomfortable. It really
Right.
flows well when you're not around.
Yeah, there are some things that.
Will happen with time. Don't worry.
What?
Like over time, we'll get more comfortable cursing in front of each other. You've already had your moments. I'll have mine soon enough. And then by the time I'm 45, we'll be like, this FB just did whatever, blah, 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 blah.
Oh my gosh, girl, yes. No. See? All of it's weird.
No, it's not. The cursing isn't weird. Because those are just words. Calling you a girl is weird because you're not a girl.
Oh, and we're back to the problem here with the women
What?
astronauts. We still think of women as girls. Bam, way to bring it back, Parker.
At some point, we'll be able to curse more. Don't worry. We'll
I
take it easy and slowly. And then by the time it happens, you won't even realize it's happened. Until one day you're sitting on the kitchen counter and like, my God, my daughter just called me the B word.
what?
In like a recreational kind of it's like suck biatch.
That's like that Modern Family episode
What?
when she goes for the college thing and then she starts trying to act like Haley to be more interesting and then she goes, "Yeah, I know, slut," to the
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Anyhow,
I'm having my culture so
yeah, imagine. There are just some things, and I am like the most modern mom. I am.
modern moms.
Like who?
Moms that let their kids curse in front of them.
So even with me, there's a line. There are so many things where we're just like watching stuff and you're like, I would never. I'm like, I know.
Yeah. But I would let you curse in front of me. So therefore, I can curse in front of you.
That's not true.
Yeah.
That's not how anything
No,
works.
it's not. That's how this works.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Anywho. Yeah, so it was very good for the lady astronauts of the world.
Go team.
Mhm.
Yeah, we should go to space for sure when we will save up.
Yeah, or we could just be like get famous enough to be chosen
Right.
after I get my Nobel Prize. I'll be begging to my
Right. Yeah.
please, please, yeah. Get on my spaceship, you know.
Oh, like Richard Branson. Yeah, the Virgin Airlines guy. He's got a like a space company now. So yeah.
airplanes because his flight was delayed and he just rented out a jet and was like, come on.
Mhm.
Super innovative. If I had money, I could be
Right.
innovative
I'm
too.
innovative too. Because if I felt that way, we literally went to the airport and saw private, like the tour of the airport this morning and saw these private jets. If I were in a situation like that, I could think the same thing. Like, let's just grab one of these planes
Yeah.
and we'll do it my way. We'll have a great
Like
time.
that song
Do it
with that
my or
mouse
did
sang.
it
That
my?
mouse sang and sang. He is such a jerk.
Isn't it Frank Sinatra? It's one of them.
And sing the movie, that
Hmm.
little mouse
I know what
that
you're
is like,
talking about.
oh,
The one in the suit. How could I not know? And isn't that Sing too?
oh, it's sing one.
It's Sing? Oh, because the yeah, okay.
It's just sing because like he's not in
Yeah,
the
no, I
movie.
know. I know.
I think he was eaten by the bears in the end.
No.
Yeah, because remember they were like she's like he's like a gangster, and so they're like getting away the his mouse and his girl, and they like and then behind them like the bear bouncers
Right.
like sneaking up. So we don't see what happens. I'm assuming he ate them, but she probably got
Or he
away.
had to go into hiding because
But
he's
well,
clearly
hopefully
a
she left him.
stereotypical mobster, which, I really want,
We should talk about the stereotypes more.
yeah,
How stupid
yeah,
they are.
Italian actors to get an opportunity to not have to play
The villain.
mobsters and yeah, yeah.
But Robert De Niro, are you married? Because
Yes, he's married.
oh,
What are we talking about? What
well,
were we talking about the other day where you're like, I think that cartoon character. Oh, Mr. Fredrickson.
yeah, he looks just like him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he looks like Robert De Niro.
yeah. Okay.
Hmm. All right.
Ciao. Till next time.
Bye.